Hello guys, good morning. In today's class, we'll be talking about a new topic called transmission and distribution. In this particular chapter, we'll be starting a new topic called line parameters, right? So let us see what is line parameters, sir. If you have a transmission line like this is a three-phase transmission line. You could see this is line 1, excuse me. So this is the first line, this is the second line, and this is the third line, right? So whenever you have lines like this, we will have to do some analysis on these lines. So to do the analysis, we have to model them. To model these transmission lines, we are basically using 4 parameters. What are those 4 parameters, sir? 2 series parameters and 2 shunt parameters. The series parameters are series resistance, series inductance, shunt capacitance, and shunt conductance. Now, so see, sir, why do we get resistance, inductance, capacitance or conductance? Is basically when you have a transmission line, there is insulators here, and to this insulators we have connected the line like this, right? Now this line will offer certain resistance that is given by this R. Now whenever an alternating current is passing through this particular line, the alternating current produces alternating flux which links with the conductors and produces your inductance. Now these two parameters depends on the current. This opposes the flow of current, and this is due to the rate of change of current. The rate of change of flux will come, so it comes into inductance. Since these two are depending on current, we will show them as series parameters like this. Whereas if you talk about capacitance and conductance, there are two lines. If there are two lines like this, now assume this is carrying plus I current, this is carrying minus I current. What is the meaning of minus I current? This is the current which is going in the forward direction and it is the return path from the load, right? So this will hold plus Q charge and this will hold minus Q charge. And this particular line is certain voltage and this particular line is at certain voltage, right? So whenever there is voltage and charge involved, you will get capacitance, right? Now since the capacitance is depending on voltage, it will become a shunt parameter, right? That is why I will show it with the shunt. Now a capacitance will exist between the line to line, and I can show that a capacitance also exists between line to ground. Since we do most of our analysis per phase, so I will take it with respect to ground as shunt parameters. Now what is this conductance, sir? This is mainly due to leakage. Whenever we have the transmission tower like this and insulators like this, some amount of current basically leaks. So there will be some current which is leaking from here to ground. Now I don't want this current to leak, but to show the effect of this leakage current, I'll be using the shunt resistance, that is basically conductance. Now again, this is with respect to ground, it will become a shunt parameter, and it also depends on voltage. Why it depends on voltage is, as the voltage becomes high, your insulator might fail and the current passage will become more. That's why this is also depending on voltage, this is also dependent on voltage, so it becomes the shunt parameters. So if I want to show a transmission line, see sir, how will I show the transmission line? So the transmission line can be shown with the 4 parameters, namely resistance, inductance, capacitance and conductance. So this is the resistance, this is the inductance L, capacitance C and conductance G. Now let us see what is the significance of each parameters. Now if you want to talk about the resistance, it's a series parameter because it is depending on current, and the main importance of this is in the contribution of power loss. Right? The second significance or the second account of the resistance I can take as voltage drop. Right. Next, the significance of inductance. is also in power transfer capability. It is not in power loss, sir. It is in power transfer capability. That is, in future you will see that if the L of the line is less, that decreases, then the inductive reactance decreases, then the power transfer capability increases. So it's better to keep the inductance of the line less. Similarly, C also, and this is contributing in power transfer capability as well as voltage drop as well. Instead of calling this as voltage drop, I can say it is Q lag demand. Now, when I talk about voltage profile topic, this will be more emphasized. The line reactance, inductance of the line or the inductive reactance of the line demands a lagging reactive power. Similarly, this also changes your power capability, that is power transfer. I am writing transfer as T by F, capability as CAP cap, right? And it also talks about Q lag. It demands, so it delivers. Or I can also talk this as charging current. Now, the next parameter is G, conductance. Conductance is because it is coming because of the leakage current. But in practical cases, the leakage amount of leakage current that is happening will be very less. So in most of the time, this is neglected, sir. In most of the cases, this is particularly neglected. And one more thing, the resistance is having ohm, but we will use ohm per kilometer because the length of the line is very large. So whatever line parameters we are seeing, we will calculate them per unit length, right? So this will be in Henry per kilometer or per meter. This will be farad per meter, and this will be mho per meter, right? So make sure you remember the units also. Why we are taking per kilometer or per meter? Because the length of the transmission line is very large. So we will do per unit analysis, right? Next, let us first talk about inductance, because the most important parameter, that is the power transfer capability of the transmission line, is decided by the inductance of the transmission line. So let me talk about inductance of the transmission line. So the heading is inductance. Right. So first we have to understand the basics of an inductance, sir. For that, let me take a small figure. Assume this is a iron bar like this, and to this particular iron bar, I have connected a winding like this. So this is a winding I have connected, sir. Now, to this, I am sending a current called I, and this has n number of turns. So, see, sir, what will happen? You might know that according to Faraday's law of induction, there will be an induced voltage E whose magnitude is given by n d phi by dt. Right. That means whenever an alternating current is passed to winding, what will happen? Because of this current like this, there will be flux coming out like this. And this will be coming out, so this will be north pole, and it will be entering here. So this will become south pole, right? For the next half cycle, this becomes south, this becomes north. So this is the north poles. This is n number of turns, this is the north pole, right? So because of this, a magnitude of voltage is induced whose magnitude is given by n d phi by dt, right? And if you want to put a minus sign, that is because of Lenz's law, it opposes this applied voltage here, V, right? Now see, sir, as current is changing, what happens, sir? Your flux changes. If the flux changes, then EMF is induced, right? And I've written that E is equal to N d phi by dt. So if I want to write this again, this is equal to E N as the current changes with respect to times, that is dt by di. With respect to current, the flux changes. So I can write E is equal to N d phi by di into di by dt. This is d, sir. So I can call this particular N d phi by di as inductance. This is what, sir? This is L. So this is what, sir? This is L, inductance. So what is the basic definition of inductance? Inductance L is given as N d phi by di. If the magnetic circuit which you are taking is assumed to be linear, then I can write this as N phi by I. Right? Now, N phi is number of turns and flux. So this will be called as flux linkage, psi divided by I. So what is the formula for inductance, sir? The formula for inductance is L is equal to flux linkage by current. Since we are talking about alternating current and alternating flux linkage, I can write this as lambda divided by I. Now what is this lambda? This is the RMS value of your flux linkage, and what is this I? This is also the RMS value of that particular current, right? So understand this, sir. To find the flux linkage, you will have to find the inductance, you will have to find the flux linkage and divide it with the current, then you will get the inductance. So the main motivation is, if you want to find the inductance, you will have to find the flux linkage. So let us do that, sir. Let us find the inductance of a single wire. Let me do the calculation of inductance of a single wire. One wire. Now, assume you have a wire like this. Say the length of the wire is L and the radius from here to is R. So the area of cross section, this area of cross section will become what? This will become pi R square. From this pi R square, assume that I current is coming out like this. I current, right? So if I show you the top view of this same figure, this is how will it look. So this is radius R from here to here, and from this particular radius, I current is coming out like this. Now this I is entirely coming from the whole radius, whatever is the cross section area we have. From this whole cross section area, we are getting current out like this. And the RMS value of current is what, sir? It is shown with capital I, right? Now, if there is current, then what will be there, sir? If there is current, there will be flux. So if you have I, then I will get you phi, and if there is n number of turns, then what will happen? You will get n phi, that is basically flux linkage psi, or if you take the RMS value, lambda, right? Now see, sir, what happens? I have to find the inductance, so I have to find the flux linkage and I have to divide it with the current, so I'll get the inductance. To do that, if you observe something, there is, because if there is a wire like this, assume this is a small wire whose diameter or radius is very small, and if an I current is flowing through this, then the flux lines will be like this, sir. How do you find the flux lines? To find the flux lines, use the right hand rule. This is the current, so this will be the flux lines, right? That means if this is the current, the flux lines will be like this. So for this, how will be the flux lines? The flux lines will be like this. They will be inside as well as outside. So there will be loops forming like this. So there will be some proper loops forming like this. What are these loops? These are flux lines, right? That means there is flux inside the conductor as well as outside the conductor. So The flux linkage is happening internally and externally. So the main motivation for me is I have to find two things here. What are the two things? I have to find flux linkage which are happening internal, comma, flux linkage which are happening external. That means I will get two inductances. One is L internal and L external. Very good. Now there is a standard way to find the flux linkage and the inductance. These are what that is. Whenever you want to find the flux linkage, there are certain steps which we have to follow. First one is, let me write the first step. We know that we have to find L is equal to psi by I, right? For you, the conductor, so what will be given to you, sir? For you, there will be a conductor given to you whose radius is known, whose length is known. For the information given to you will be, the length of the line will be given to you, the radius of the conductor being used will be given to you, and how much is the current flowing out of it will be given to you. This is what is known, right? Now, we don't know flux linkage, so we'll have to find the flux linkage. So, Caesar, how will we find flux linkage? To find flux linkage, phi is equal to n into psi is equal to n into phi. And what is phi is equal to? Phi is equal to b into a. And what is b is equal to? B is equal to mu h. And how do you find h? Closed integral h dot dl is equal to I enclosed. So the steps involved are reversed, right? So let me correct this. Our final motivation is to find the inductance. To find the inductance, first I have to apply Ampere circuit law. From this, I will find H. After H is found, next I will be finding my B. What is B? That is flux density, sir. After the flux density is found, then I will find the flux itself. After the flux is found, then I will find the flux linkage by multiplying with number of turns. Then I will finally find the inductance, right? Now, you might feel confused that, sir, what is this H? What is this I? What is this phi? Now, let us try to understand this, sir. As we have seen in the previous slide, whenever you have a magnetic circuit like this, that means it's an iron bar. To this iron bar, what you have done, sir, you have put some winding like this and you have sent some I current into this n number of turns. So, an MMF is developed. What is developed, sir? An MMF is developed that is equal to Ni, right? Now, this iron piece will have certain reluctance that is given by, say, S. The reluctance of this line is given by S. Then what is the phi, sir? Phi is equal to MMF divided by reluctance S. It is same as your current, sir. In current, what do we do, sir? In electrical circuit, if you want to take, what is current is equal to, that is EMF, the driving force, divided by the opposition, that is resistance. Similarly, flux phi is equal to MMF, the driving force, divided by the reluctance, that is opposition to this particular thing. Now, what is this B? The B, the meaning of B is what? B is equal to flux per unit area. This is Weber per meter square. Now, if this has some A area of cross section, assume that this is some A area of cross section. Through this A area of cross section, some flux lines are coming like this. Some flux lines are coming out like this, sir. Why are these flux lines coming? Because you have put a driving force, that is MMF, and this has certain reluctance, so certain flux lines will be coming. So the number of lines which are coming out is basically flux, right? Per unit area, how much flux is coming is given by B flux density. Now, what is H, sir? H is basically magnetic field intensity. What is H? It is magnetic field intensity. Now, the meaning of magnetic field intensity is how intense those flux lines are. That means, are they thick? Are they thin? That means how intensified your field is given by your magnetic field intensity. That is MMF per unit length. mmf per unit length. That means per unit length, how much is the strength is given by your magnetic field intensity H, and we have B is equal to mu H. So there is relative permeability. Mu is equal to mu naught mu R. So if the relative permeability is good, then because of H, the B which we are coming will be also good, sir. So this is basically, you might know in electrical circuit, J is equal to sigma into E. This is point form of Ohm's law. This is current density, this is electric field intensity, this is conductance. From here only you will get the resistance formula. So try to understand this. Whenever there is a magnetic circuit involved, there will be MMF, there will be reluctance, there will be flux. These are the basic voltage, resistance and current, right? The analogous electrical value. And there will be current density, so we'll have flux density. There is electric field intensity, though there is magnetic field intensity, right? Now, this is the first point which we'll have to see is, we'll have to find the H by applying something called Ampere's circuital law. Now, according to this law, what is it saying, sir? For a conductor, if for certain conductor I is enclosed, you will get the value of H by using this H dot dl is equal to I enclosed, right? Then you will get B, then you will get phi, then you will get this phi, then psi, then L. So let us try to find the internal flux linkage first. So let me try to find L internal. Internal means that this is the conductor I am taking. This is the center. From here center to this is the radius R. The radius is R. So see, sir, what we are trying to do now. Now let us take a small loop inside this. Let us take a small loop inside this, whose distance from the center is, say, x, right? And that means the loop is like this, sir. This loop is like this. Inside it is there. If the total area of cross section is how much, sir? Pi r square. Then the internal loop, or whatever analysis I am doing, that area of cross section is how much? Pi x square, right? Now I have to see how much amount of current is coming out, because we have to do I enclosed. So to do that, see what we are doing. From pi r square, the amount of current you are getting is I, right? That is the total current that is coming out of this conductor. So from pi x square, how much you will get, sir? From pi x square, you will get I by pi r square into pi x square. That is basically I by r square into x square, right? One observation or one assumption which you'll have to do is, whatever the field intensity is inside this conductor is constant. So the closed integral h dot dl. Now this h is h internal into dl is equal to, what is the I enclosed? I enclosed is I into x square divided by r square. This is x square divided by r square. Now I am assuming that this h internal is constant. It has a constant value, and the dl length is this length you'll have to walk. This length you'll have to walk. So the dl length which you're walking is this particular length. Along this particular length you're walking. So the dl will be 2 pi x is equal to I into x square divided by r square. So what is the formula of H internal you got? That is magnetic field intensity H internal is equal to Ix divided by 2 pi r square. Remember this, sir. This is very important. Observation from here is H internal is directly proportional to X. That means what? As you move from the center of the core to the surface of the conductor, the field intensity increases, right? Because it is directly proportional to X. Now we have achieved our first goal, that is finding H. Now we have to find B, sir. So see how we'll find B. B is equal to, If the H is constant, then B will also be constant, but it will be mu times H, right? Now I have to find, say I want to find flux linkage. For that I have to find flux. So small amount of flux will take d phi is equal to B into dA. Because phi is equal to B into A, so d phi is equal to B into BA, right? So let us see what is this BA, sir. This BA is basically, if this is your X distance and this is the outer conductor, sir. This is a big conductor. In this conductor I have taken the small, right? So the flux basically, because the current is coming out like this, if the current is coming out like this, then the flux lines will be like this. They will be like this. That means from what area the flux lines are passing. Let us take a small strip here. Let us take basically a small strip here. If you take a small strip here, the strip is like this. To the entire length it passes, right? This is X distance. So the change in this direction is, this is dx. And area you want, so this is particular length L. So what will be my d phi? My d phi will be B into, what is dA, sir? This area, because of from this strip the flux lines are coming like this, right? So this is dx into L. So that will be dx into L. Now see, sir, what is d phi is equal to? D phi is equal to, what did we get B as? We got B as mu H into dx into L. But this is H internal. So what is the H internal you got? That is mu I x dx into L divided by 2 pi r square. Right? Very good. This is your d phi. Now after getting d phi, what we'll have to do, sir? We'll have to find the d lambda or d psi. What is d psi? The small change in flux linkage. That is equal to number of turns into small change in flux. Now for this entire length, for this entire area of cross section, that is for entire pi r square, how many number of turns are there? The number of turns are equal to 1, because this is entirely 1 turn, sir. Now for pi x square, the number of turns changes. How will that change? It will change as 1 by pi r square into pi x square. So the number of turns will become x square by r square for this particular area which I have taken. So what will be your d psi? Your d psi will be x square by r square into mu naught I into x divided by 2 pi r square into L, right? So this is your change in flux linkage. Now I want the entire change in flux linkage from the center point to this. So I have to integrate this. So if you do the integration from x is equal to 0, that is core center, to x is equal to r. X is equal to r is what, sir? To the outer surface. That will entirely cover the internal flux. So internal flux linkage will get as d phi is equal to, let us integrate this. So this becomes 0 to r. This is what, sir? Mu I divided by 2 pi r power 4 into x cube into dx into L. There is dx here, right? So if you do the integration, see, sir, what will you get? Total flux linkage phi is equal to mu is constant, I is constant, L is constant, divided by 2 pi r power 4 is constant, and in the integration in x cube is x power 4 divided by 4, and in this I have to substitute the limits as 0 to r, right? If I do this, the total internal flux linkage, the phi internal, will be mu I L divided by 8 pi, because this will become r power 4, r power 4 will get cancelled, and when you put 0, it will entirely become 0. Now if I want to find L internal now, so see, sir, what is L internal? L internal per unit length I am finding, sir. Per unit, so per I have written already. So per unit length, if you do, this will become what? That is pi internal divided by internally. Total internal current, how much it is flowing, sir? The I value it is flowing. So per unit length, so I'll have to divide it with L. So what will I get here? I will get this as mu naught mu r. Mu can be written as mu naught mu r by 8 pi. Right? So if I assume that mu r is equal to 1 in air, then what will be your L internal? Your L internal will be equal to mu naught divided by 8 pi. This is the units will be Henry per meter. Right? Now what is the value of mu naught? That is constant. So basically what is L internal? You remember the L internal formula is equal to mu naught by 8 pi. One beautiful observation from here which you have to see is that internal inductance is independent of radius. That L internal is independent of radius of conductor. It only depends on what? Mu r. If mu r changes, then your L internal changes, because mu naught is also constant and the units are Henry per meter. If I now want to find the L external, so see sir, let us find L external now. To find external inductance, that is L external, we'll have to first find what? H external, right? So for that I am taking the figure like this, sir. This is a conductor which I have. The amperial loop which I am taking should be outside now. To apply Ampere circuital law, you have to do the Ampere circuital loop. This is the Ampere circuital loop and this is at a distance, say x, right? Now this radius is r. So to do this, these are what we'll do. Again, the same thing we'll have to do. Ampere circuital law, closed integral h, but this h is h external into dl is equal to I enclosed. But what is the I enclosed here? The I enclosed is in air, there won't be any current flowing. So I enclosed is simply equal to I. That is the current flowing in the conductor. And we will again assume that H is constant, that is H external into this is 2 pi x. So what is the H external formula which you got? H external is equal to I by 2 pi x. So another important observation is H external is inversely proportional, sir. H external is inversely proportional to x. H internal was directly proportional and H external is inversely proportional. Now, after getting H, what we have to do? After getting H, we will have to find B. What is B is equal to, sir? B is equal to mu naught mu r into H. So, we will get directly B. Now, d phi. To find d phi, you need B into dA. Again, we'll take this as dx and this whole length as L. So the dA will become what, sir? That is B. B is what? Mu I divided by 2 pi x into what is dA? dA is this is dx and this is length L. So that will be L into dx. This is your d phi. Now, if you want to find d psi, that is number of turns into d phi. So that should be equal to what? Since you are taking it outside, the number of turns is only 1. So it should be equal to mu I divided by 2 pi x into L into dx. Right? This is my small change in flux linkage, sir. Now, if I want to find the entire flux, but assume that I want to find the flux linkage from between 2 points, right? Assume I want to find the external flux linkage between 2 points. Right from the center, say assume this is the center, there are 2 radiuses which I want to find the flux linkage. From the center, say this distance is d2 and this distance is d1. And this radius is what, sir? R. I am assuming that the d1 is far greater than radius. d2 is also far greater than the radius. Because we'll have to take it from here. If you take it from inside, what will happen? The internal will also come. So since these are very far, you could take it from here or here, it will not matter. So to find the flux linkage outside, I'll have to integrate between d1 and d2 into d psi. That should equal to, see sir, I'm using d psi only. Yes, d psi only. So that should be equal to, so what is the formula we got, sir? Mu naught I L dx by 2 pi x. That is mu I L into dx divided by 2 pi x. For this, we'll have to do the integration from limits d1 to d2. So see sir, this will be equal to mu is constant, I is constant, L is constant, divided by 2 pi is constant, into integral of 1 by x is ln x. So this will become ln x, and limits which we'll have to substitute is from d1 to d2, right? So total flight external will become what? It will become mu I L divided by 2 pi into ln d2 divided by d1, right? Because this is ln d2 minus ln d1, so it is in ln, so it will d2 minus ln d2 minus ln d1 will become ln d2 by ln d1, right? Now if I want to find L external, see sir, what will that become? Phi external divided by the current I external, that is I only. And if I want to find this per unit length, you'll have to divide it with L also. So you'll get that as entirely mu naught mu r, that is, I'm assuming mu r value is 1, mu naught by 2 pi into ln d2 by d1 Henry per meter, right? So this is the external flux linkage and this is the external inductance which I have just found out. Now the total inductance of the wire, right? Assume this is the wire which I have been talking about and it has the radius of r. From here center the radius is r and the length is L. Then at certain distance, say at this distance, from here the distance is, say, capital D and the internal radius is r. So I want to find the L, total L. Total L, if you want to see, sir, what will it become? L internal will be somehow independent of radius and it has come up to what? Mu naught by 8 pi. And what is L external, sir? L external is basically the longer distance by smaller distance. Always remember this as a shortcut, sir. Whenever you want to find flux linkage between two bands like this, that is at a longer distance and a shorter distance, that is mu naught by 2 pi ln, longer distance divided by shorter distance. So this will become mu naught by 2 pi into ln. The longer distance is actually d. The shorter distance is what, sir? This is the shorter distance. D minus r will have to write, but d minus r is approximately equal to r. So we'll write it as d by r. This is also Henry per meter. This is also Henry per meter. Now the total inductance is L internal flux linkage and external flux linkage. So L total, L of the line should be equal to L internal plus L external. So that is mu naught by 8 pi plus mu naught by 2 pi into ln d by r, right? So to simplify this further, if I take mu naught by 2 pi outside, then this will become what? 1 by 4 plus ln d by r. Now this 1 by 4, see sir, what I am writing this 1 by 4 as? This 1 by 4 I am writing it as ln e power 1 by 4, right? Then I'll club these two and I can write the L line, total inductance of the line should be equal to what? It should be equal to mu naught divided by 2 pi into ln d by r into e power minus 1 divided by 4. Because this gets multiplied here, d into e power 1 by 4 by r. So I put it in the denominator, r into e power minus 1 by 4. So the final formula is like this. The final formula which you'll have to remember is L internal or L line is equal to mu naught divided by 2 pi into ln d divided by, I will call this as r into e power minus 1 by 4 as r dash. Now what should be the value of r dash? Where r dash is equal to, if you calculate e power minus 1 by 4, it should be 0.7788 into r. This particular r dash is called effective radius. What is this r dash, sir? This r dash is called effective radius. Because in numericals, if we use effective radius, then you'll have to understand it as r dash. Very good. So if you have a line like this and at a certain distance d, if you want to find the line inductance, then what will be that, sir? That will be mu naught by 2 pi into ln d by r dash, where r dash is what? 0.7788 into r, right? Very good, sir. Next. So I can write this L of the line is equal to mu naught is what, sir? So let me write it again. Mu naught by 2 pi into ln d by r dash, Henry per meter. So I know that mu naught is equal to 4 pi into 10 power of minus 7 by 2 pi into ln d by r dash, Henry per meter. Or the other way to remember this is 2 into 10 power of minus 7, 2 into 10 power of minus 7 ln d divided by r dash, Henry per meter. Or you can write this as 0.2 into ln d by r dash millihenry per kilometer. This is the inductance of the line. All of this you can remember, sir. Either you can remember this or this or this or this. All are constituting same. Make sure what are the units. If it's in millihenry per kilometer, use 0.2. If it is henry per meter, use 2 into 10 power of minus 7. This is what you'll have to find out. If someone is asking you what is XL, XL will be equal to 2 pi L, right? So that should be equal to 2 pi F into 0.2 into ln d by r dash milli ohm per kilometer. Because this is millihenry, so that will become milli ohms, right? So these are the formulas which you'll have to remember this from this particular lecture, sir. So I'll stop this lecture here, and in the next class when we come up, I will teach you how to calculate the inductance of a single phase system. Then we'll do a numerical on that. Then we'll go to the 3-phase system. So let me stop this here and meet in the next class. Thank you, sir. So that was the lecture, sir. I hope you enjoyed the lecture and gained some knowledge. For more content like this, please subscribe to our channel Octomy and also like and share it with your friends. And if you have any valuable feedback or doubts, you can always write down in the comments. And to watch my entire playlist and the full course, please enroll with us. Thank you, sir.